source filmmaker animations. We all know them, we all have seen them, and we all freaking love them. Whether it was Five Nights at Freddy's, Team Fortress 2, or any other group of video game characters doing the most random stuff while a shit ton of 2015 memes are spammed on the screen.
I'm withdrawing my child support.
These animations were my and many others people's childhood. I to this day still have a very special place in my heart for some of these animations, even though most of them are really cringe and corny. And me personally, even though I binge-watched a stupid amount of these when I was a 12-year-old fart, I almost completely forgot they even existed. That was until a few days ago when YouTube randomly recommended me one of these gems from the past, and suddenly everything came back to me while rewatching the animation. The derp faces, the stiff-looking animations, the comically large eyes, the old FNAF animatronic models that look like they are made out of clay, all this nostalgia hit me harder than Jake Paul got hit by Anthony Joshua. So today, I decided to go back and rewatch some of these animations to see if they actually still hold up. Spoiler alert, they do not. Like, come on, we are talking about 2010 source filmmaker, no one knew how to animate properly. But they are still very entertaining and often low-key intriguing. So without any further ado, let me show you some classic FNAF SFM animations that you probably forgot about. Old Memories was created by Abby SFM in early 2017, making it the most recent series out of all the ones featured in today's video, and also my personal favorite. The series is based on Abby's own interpretation of the FNAF game's story. It includes important events from the actual games like the Bite of 83, but at the same time it deviates heavily from what's canon to create her own version of what really happened. Abby has also mentioned that the series was heavily inspired by ZachShu37's work, which becomes very obvious as the animations go on. The series is divided into 3 seasons, with the first 2 being relatively short and the third one still ongoing since 2018. So let's start with the first one. Season 1 focuses on the events of Fredbear's Family Diner, a restaurant that shut down after a tragic accident where 4 kids caused the death of another by shoving his head into Fredbear's jaw. One of the diner's main attractions, alongside Spring Bonnie and the puppet. This, of course, is the Bite of 83.
Was that the bite of...
However, unlike in the games, after the animatronics are shut down and the restaurant closes, the 4 bullies responsible for the accident are later murdered by a mysterious purple man. This might be William Afton, but the series never clearly explains who he really is. Shortly after, the puppet gathers the souls of the 4 murdered children and places them into the new animatronics when Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opens. Spring Bonnie and Fredbear wake up confused in the basement of the new pizzeria, with no memory of what happened back at Fredbear's Family Diner. The puppet suddenly appears and explains everything to them, then leaves just as abruptly, without giving much clarification. Spring Bonnie doesn't really buy Puppet's story and tells Fredbear not to trust him. Or her. Look, I don't really know. In some series the puppet is a guy, in another it's a girl. Since the voice here is male, I'll just go with he from now on. Meanwhile, the puppet goes to the show stage where he finds the 4 animatronics freaking the fuck out because they don't remember how they died or why they are robots now. He briefly explains everything to them as well, which understandably leaves them devastated. At the same time, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie try to sneak out of the pizzeria. Fredbear suggests talking to the puppet, but Spring Bonnie refuses, still insisting he can't be trusted. Fredbear decides to go anyway, but he's stopped by some kind of fireball that was cast by Spring Bonnie, something Spring Bonnie himself didn't even know he was capable of. The puppet hears the commotion and goes to investigate, only to be immediately attacked by Spring Bonnie. The other animatronics rush in and free the puppet from his grasp, and Spring Bonnie then apologizes, claiming he was just trying to protect Fredbear. Liar. With the help of the others, the puppet finds a new suit for Fredbear, since his old one is falling apart. After the suit is replaced, Fredbear wakes up with no memory of anything, most likely due to the fireball Spring Bonnie threw at him. Spring Bonnie takes full advantage of this and manipulates Fredbear by lying to him, claiming that he and Fredbear used to perform together at Fredbear's family diner before the puppet intentionally sabotaged them and caused the restaurant to shut down. Fredbear believes him and is basically manipulated into attacking the puppet. A full-on fight breaks out between the animatronics and Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, ending Season 1 with everyone either becoming withered or completely deactivated. Season 2 takes place 2 years later and begins with the 4 main animatronics waking up in the parts and services room, where they discover what has become of them. In the same room also lies Fredbear's body, whose soul has left it and becomes Shadow Freddy, unable to return to his suit. Spring Bonnie is also there but shows no signs of activity whatsoever. When the animatronics open the door, they realize they have been replaced by the toy animatronics, who now perform for kids during the day. They also spot the Purple Man again with that Jeffrey Epstein looking grin, so yeah, he's definitely planning to kill some more children. They wait until nightfall to leave the room, and when they finally do, Freddy and Chica immediately stumble upon the corpses of 4 children, most likely murdered by the Purple Man. Chica comforts Freddy after what he just witnessed, hinting that there might be something going on between those two. Meanwhile, the puppet gathers the souls of the murdered children and bites them to the toy animatronics. He also reveals that he keeps a voodoo doll of himself hidden inside his music box, and any damage done to the doll is transferred directly to him, which raises the question, why the f do you even have that in the first place? At first, the toy animatronics are kinda hostile toward the originals, but the puppet explains that they are good and not enemies. He also finds Fredbear and successfully binds his soul back to his suit. Later that night, Bonnie is wandering the pizzeria when he's suddenly attacked by the Purple Man and manages to warn the others. The animatronics corner him, forcing him to hide inside the Spring Bonnie suit, which, as we all know, leads to a spring lock failure that kills the man inside. They leave his corpse to rot inside the suit, but somehow this causes Spring Bonnie to come back to life. In the parts and services room, something emerges from the shadows, Ennard from Sister Location. He grabs the axe the Purple Man was carrying and uses it to attack Mangle. The next night, Ennard returns, but this time with an army of nightmare animatronics under his control. Why the nightmares are working with Ennard, you ask? I have no idea. A massive fight breaks out and Spring Bonnie, who is basically Springtrap now I guess, comes in clutch and helps the animatronics defeat the nightmares. Springtrap then explains that Ennard was the one who corrupted him and turned him evil, giving half of his powers to Spring Bonnie to cause chaos. And now that Springtrap has no more use, Ennard wants that power back. Ennard takes the puppet hostage using the voodoo doll, again why the f does that even exist, and demands that Springtrap returns his power in exchange for everyone's safety. The reason why Ennard hates the puppet so much is only explained in Season 3, but I might as well explain it now. Ennard is the kid who died in the bite of 83, and the bullies weren't actually the ones who put his head in Fredbear's jaw. It was the puppet accidentally because Ennard was about to murder the bullies with a knife. As Springtrap approaches to comply, Toy Freddy grabs Ennard from behind, causing him to drop the doll. Just as Springtrap is about to grab it, Ennard stabs him in the back with a metal pole, killing him. But before fully dying, Springtrap transfers his powers to Fredbear, who then confronts Ennard directly. Fredbear tells the others to evacuate immediately because shit is about to hit the fan. The puppet teleports everyone out of the pizzeria, and moments later Fredbear detonates the entire building, ending Season 2. And this is where I checked out as a kid. By the time Season 3 came out, it was already almost 2019, and my interest in source filmmaker animations and FNAF in general was starting to fade as I got older. I did watch Season 3 to make this video, but honestly, it just didn't feel like the same series anymore, the same one I grew up with. Seasons 1 and 2, even though they had serious moments where the plot moved forward, also had a lot of slice of life and comedy mixed in. Sure, it was shitty 2015 humor, but I loved those dumb, unserious moments being sprinkled in every now and then. Season 3 drops almost all of that and tries to be way more professional and serious, which, at least for me, doesn't really work when you compare it to how the first 2 seasons were made. That said, I still think Season 3 is pretty entertaining and well made. It just doesn't quite match the vibe of the first 2 seasons. I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm way too old to be watching this. Anyways, Season 3. Some time passes. How much time, you ask? No idea. Long enough for the owners of Freddy Fazbear's to open yet another pizzeria and repair all the animatronics after some of them literally exploded. Everyone is happy they survived except Fredbear, who's still grieving Spring Bonnie, since his friend didn't make it out of the explosion. During the animatronics' first days in the new pizzeria, nothing too crazy happens. Foxy and Mangle start developing some kind of relationship, Toy Bonnie lies to Toy Freddy claiming Toy Chica kissed him, which causes a bit of a fight between them, and Mangle begins having visions of Ennard coming back, which is definitely not a good sign. There's one thing that really starts to bother them though. The pizzeria is open, but they haven't seen a single human since waking up. No customers, no owners, not even a night guard. Something is clearly wrong. Puppet, Chica and Freddy decide to investigate and open the pizzeria's doors only to find complete destruction outside with no sign of human life anywhere. Meanwhile, guess who survived the explosion? Yup, my least favorite character of them all, Nightmare Bonnie. He's planning to reconstruct Ennard after his death, and he captures Bonnie, mind-controlling him into retrieving Ennard's pieces, so he can finish rebuilding him. Mangle figures out what's going on, but gets captured before she can warn the others. Conventionally enough for Nightmare Bonnie, it turns out Ennard's soul was hidden inside Mangle's head the whole time, which is apparently why she had been having nightmares about him returning. Does that make sense? Not really, but whatever. Nightmare Bonnie successfully brings Ennard back to life, and the two of them immediately start causing chaos in the pizzeria, trying to wipe out the animatronics. Their plan, however, completely goes to shit when Chica goes full karate mode on Ennard and Freddy kills Nightmare Bonnie. Ennard then switches plans. He captures Bonnie and Mangle and just escapes. The animatronics decide they need to go outside to rescue them, so they split into 2 search teams. Fredbear goes with the puppet, while Chica goes with Freddy. Their goal isn't just to bring Bonnie and Mangle back, but also to figure out what caused the apocalypse outside that seemingly wiped out most, if not all of humanity. Meanwhile, Bonnie and Mangle wake up at Fredbear's family diner, where Ennard is holding them captive. They manage to break free, Mangle hugs Bonnie, Bonnie gets the wrong idea and immediately kisses her, but she shuts him down real quick. They hide from Ennard, who somehow doesn't see them hiding behind the counter, and use an old radio to contact the 2 search teams, who also happen to be carrying radios. While searching through an abandoned building, Freddy and Chica encounter a human, but Chica ends up killing him because he becomes hostile toward Freddy. The next day they find another one, also hostile, but this time they are saved by a new character, Rockstar Chica. She joins their group, and both search teams continue heading toward Bonnie and Mangle's location. As they are about to reach them, Bonnie senses Ennard approaching and tells Mangle to escape through the vents while he distracts him. She does, but not before kissing Bonnie, which technically means betraying Foxy. F***ing ho. Freddy's group reaches the building first and finds Mangle outside. Fredbear and the puppet arrive shortly after, but too late to save Bonnie, who gets captured by Ennard for like the 3rd time. Everyone heads back to the pizzeria, where the toy animatronics have been f***ing useless for the entire duration of the rescue. The most notable thing that happens in the pizzeria while the others were away is that Toy Bonnie comes out as gay. Halfway back, they are ambushed by Nightmare Foxy and Nightmare Bonnie, who I thought was dead. They go full kamikaze and blow themselves up near the animatronics, but the explosion does basically nothing. Everyone survives and they all make it back to the pizzeria in one piece. Everyone seems fine except for Foxy, who finds out that Mangle kissed Bonnie, because she wrote it in her diary. Foxy steps outside to get some air, where he and Toy Freddy get jumped by Bonnie, who's once again being controlled by by Ennard. This is where Season 3 currently stands, and unless Abby speeds up the production of these animations, it will probably take a long time before we ever see an ending to this series, considering she releases an episode roughly every year. I'm not criticizing her or anything, she's been through a lot, including money problems and having to work 2 jobs at one point in her life. But I also feel like that, just like a lot of people who were huge FNAF fans back in 2015, she slowly lost interest in the franchise and eventually in her own series as well. And that's a pretty normal thing to happen. Most FNAF SFM series never really get an ending because their creators abandon them after a few years. Although I do think this one will be finished at some point. Still, Old Memories will always be my favorite and the most nostalgic FNAF SFM series from when I was a kid. I think it has a solid plot that stays coherent for the most part, with only a few things that could use a bit more explanation. It also doesn't overcomplicate itself like the Zekju 37 series, which, as we'll see shortly, becomes kinda confusing at a certain point because there's just so much stuff you're expected to remember from older episodes. The FNAF Dare/Ask series was one of the very first FNAF SFM series ever made, with its first episode dating all the way back to January 2015, posted by the channel 020. It's mostly slice of life and drama, focusing on the love lives of the main animatronics from the first 2 games. The whole concept revolves around the animatronics answering questions and performing dares submitted by commenters on the previous video. Now, I will admit, the whole concept of the animatronics answering questions and performing dares submitted by viewers is pretty unique, but the execution, not so much, mostly because the commenters of the video at the time were 12-year-olds, and 90% of the requests were just "make them kiss" or "make them shit." And also, something that really pissed me off as a kid is that I commented on almost every single one of these videos and my comment never got picked. So yeah, f*** you. Anyways, the first videos in this series are pretty short and don't really have a storyline or strong continuity, so I will sum them up real quick. Bonnie is there to kiss Chica, which he does because he likes her. Chica is there to say that she loves Bonnie in front of Foxy, which makes him sad because he also likes her. Bonnie is there to take a shit in the women's bathroom in front of Chica. No, I'm not making this shit up. Foxy is there to kiss Chica and tell her that he loves her, and then Bonnie asks Chica if she wants to be his girlfriend. Oh sorry, I mean he asks you wants to be my girlfriend. Yeah, these videos are full of grammar and spelling mistakes, especially the early ones, to the point where sometimes I genuinely couldn't tell what the fuck I was supposed to be reading. But I'm gonna give 020 a break because she's Dutch and at the time she didn't know English that well. Surprisingly, Chica declines Bonnie's offer and actually ends up dating Foxy, because she feels bad that he's always alone in the Pirate Cove. Bonnie then sings a sad song that is most definitely copyrighted, and Freddy, seeing his boy at rock bottom, comes up with a genius idea, building him a girlfriend. The girlfriend he ends up building turns out to be Toy Chica, but when Freddy introduces her to the others, Foxy instantly falls in love with her because Toy Chica is hot and Chica is mad ugly. So Foxy leaves Chica, which leads her to get back together with Bonnie. It was around this point that 020 noticed the videos were getting a lot of attention and started trying to kind of build a story around the dares coming from the viewers' comments. The problem is that the story quickly turned into a bit of a mess, because like I said earlier, the people watching these animations were not older than 12. So even though 020 was the one animating everything, the plot was basically being written by kids in the comments. Also, 020 took a lot of breaks between the releases of each episodes, leading to some videos being apart years between release. And at one point, 020 basically gave up on animating the series and ended it off to the channel's M8's animation and Matty Recruit. So yeah, with all of these in consideration, don't expect much from the plot. Freddy repairs the toy animatronics, and Bonnie, with the help of Foxy and Freddy, prepares a big party where he plans to ask Chica to marry him. Before going to the party though, Bonnie and Chica get some alone time together. They get drunk, then lay next to each other, while Lenny faces appear on the screen, which, just to be clear, it means they are f***ing. After that, they reunite with the other animatronics and throw a big party to celebrate. A few weeks go by and Chica starts feeling really unwell. She goes to the bathroom and ends up passing out from the pain. Bonnie and Freddy find her, wake her up, and discover that Chica has laid an egg. The next few weeks were kinda rough for both Bonnie and Chica, mostly because they were embarrassed that the other animatronics found out about what they did when they were alone. Eventually though, everyone got used to being around the egg. Meanwhile, Springtrap is preparing to take revenge on all the animatronics at the pizzeria, for quote-unquote, leaving him in a horrible place alone. I guess he's probably talking about the FNAF 3 location or something, I don't really know since he never mentions the specific place. He creates a gun that turns animatronics into their phantom versions, allowing him to control them. He manages to hit Freddy and Foxy with it, and also shoots Chica's egg multiple times, before being stopped by Golden Freddy and thrown into a cell. The puppet is able to reverse the effects of Springtrap's gun by modifying it. However, she says she can't use it on the egg because it's too risky and could kill the baby. Instead, Bonnie and Chica have to wait for the egg to hatch before the effects can be undone. The problem is that since Springtrap shot the egg multiple times, the chances of some kind of ugly abomination coming out of it are pretty high, which could obviously put everyone else in danger. Still, Bonnie and Chica decide to take the risk and wait. As time goes on, the egg keeps getting bigger every day, just like its parents' concern. One night, Bonnie has a terrible nightmare where Springtrap escapes his cell and turns all of his friends into phantoms. In the dream, the egg also hatches, and what comes out of it is an ugly-ass abomination. Terrified that this nightmare might become reality, Bonnie and Chica decide to run away and live in a fucking cave. Like, really? A fucking cave? Of course, running away doesn't actually fix anything because the egg ends up hatching right there, and just like in Bonnie's dream, an ugly-ass thing comes out of it. With no other options left, they are forced to go back to the pizzeria and talk to the puppet. But that's where the plot currently stands, because this is the last episode that has been uploaded to date. Considering how inconsistent the uploads have been over the years, I honestly doubt this series will ever be properly finished. There is also a ton of other shit that happens in these animations that I didn't even mention, mainly because none of it ever gets explained properly. For example, there's an episode where Shadow Freddy shows up, kills the night guard, and knocks Freddy out. When Freddy wakes up, he thinks he's a king named Frederick. There's also a completely separate arc where Toy Chica and Toy Bonnie try to recover memories they lost after being reconstructed by Freddy, and they were apparently lovers. And then there's the whole reason why Springtrap is evil and wants revenge in the first place, but like I said, none of that is ever explained. Maybe it was meant to be explained at some point, but considering that 020 has pretty much abandoned the project and the series is now being carried by a completely different channel, I seriously doubt this will ever get a proper ending that explains all of the things I just mentioned. It would be impossible to make a video about Five Nights at Freddy's source filmmaker animations without mentioning ZachJu37, who was probably the most popular FNAF SFM YouTuber back in the day. He started posting around 2015 and is probably one of the main reasons FNAF SFM animations got so popular in the first place. If you watch FNAF animations during that era, there's a very high chance you've seen at least one of his videos. He had a pretty insane run, posting out multiple animations on his channel, a run that is still going to this day. While I was rewatching some of his old videos, I realized that the plot of most of them was connected, even to the ones he recently posted, which means that all of his 262 videos, apart from some Q&As and subscriber specials, are a part of a big-ass FNAF SFM series, which is roughly 10 hours of videos that I need to watch. Well, fuck me, I guess. So after spending a whole ass night watching them, this is my sleep-deprived explanation of the entire ZachJu37 series. It all starts in the FNAF 2's pizzeria, where the owners are preparing to open Freddy Fazbear's Pizza 2, after the first one was shut down due to an accident that led to someone's death. Just like in the game, the animatronics roam around at night, which forces the place to hire a night guard to stay on surveillance duty. The first night turns out to be pretty rough, as the night guard scout almost dies, only being saved by the 6 AM alarm when the animatronics suddenly become inactive. However, on the following night, something seems kinda off. None of the animatronics show any aggressive behavior or even roam around the pizzeria. This causes Scout to investigate them, where he discovers that they are malfunctioning. They are malfunctioning because Golden Freddy sabotaged them at the end of the first night when nobody was looking. Scout then calls the owners to investigate the malfunction, but they are ultimately unable to find the cause of the problem. This leads them to completely discard the old animatronics and replace them with their toy versions. These new animatronics, however, are just robots. They aren't sentient. That is, until the puppet gives them life. This really pisses off Golden Freddy, who goes to the puppet and asks her to remove the life she just gave to the toy animatronics. When she refuses, he decides to use his powers to repair the old animatronics and turn them into his minions, with the goal of destroying the toy animatronics. At first, the old animatronics are hostile toward the toys, since Golden Freddy orders them to kill them. But as time goes on, they realize the toy animatronics aren't a threat at all, and that the real threat is Golden Freddy himself, who even goes as far as to hurt them if they don't follow his orders. Some of the old animatronics also start developing romantic feelings, because we are talking about a 2015 FNAF animation after all. Foxy falls in love for Mangle and Bonnie falls for Toy Chica, which eventually leads them to switch sides and betray Golden Freddy. Chica also betrays him after the puppet breaks the curse controlling her, and Freddy later changes sides as well after receiving visions of the future caused by Shadow Freddy, who will be an extremely important character later in the series. Freddy sees visions of himself and his friends wearing the FNAF 1 suits, another showing Spring Bonnie and Golden Freddy performing in the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, aka Fredbear's Diner, and another one where Foxy stuffs a night guard into a Spring Bonnie suit. And no, by the way, this is not William Afton. As far as I know, William Afton doesn't even exist in this series. Every time you see Springtrap's model, it's actually supposed to be Spring Bonnie with the corpse of this night guard inside. I know this is a lot of information to take in, but trust me, it will all make sense later. With his entire army gone, Golden Freddy still has an ace up his sleeve. While the other animatronics are busy fighting the Night Guard, because even though Golden Freddy is constantly trying to kill them and the Night Guard is like chill AF, they still fucking hate him for some reason, Golden Freddy steals an endoskeleton from the puppet's box. He uses it to host Spring Bonnie's soul, who was unable to control the Spring Bonnie suit because his endoskeleton had been removed by an engineer after the closure of the first location, the one where Spring Bonnie and Golden Freddy performed together. Golden Freddy does this so he can steal Spring Bonnie's power, which is represented as an orb. What this power orb is and why they have one will be explained later as well. And I'm gonna be saying this quite a lot because a ton of stuff at the start of this 200 episode series makes absolutely no sense until it gets explained way later. Sometimes things shown in one episode don't get explained until another episode released years later. That's what makes the ZachJu 37 series different. While most FNAF SFM videos are just random shit with no continuity, ZachJu 37 actually explains every single detail even if it takes years. Spring Bonnie swears to one day get revenge on Golden Freddy before becoming inactive, after Golden Freddy steals his power. Freddy is chilling near the main stage when he suddenly sees a damaged version of Toy Chica holding a Bonnie plush. This makes no sense to him since Toy Chica is literally right next to him playing an arcade machine. He brushes it off as a vision. Spoiler alert, it isn't a vision and it will be explained later. Golden Freddy then tricks all the animatronics into gathering in one room and traps them by blocking the exits with arcade machines. With everyone out of his way, he finishes his preparations to fight the puppet, who is revealed to also have a power orb. Golden Freddy easily defeats her and steals her power, basically making himself invincible. He then goes after the old animatronics, still holding a vendetta against them. Why he hates them so much is still kind of a mystery at this point, but it will be explained later. The toy animatronics step up to defend the old ones except for Mangle, who is mysteriously commanded by Shadow Freddy to go kill the Night Guard. Golden Freddy eventually wakes up from a power overload and realizes he has killed all of the toy animatronics, something he deeply regrets. Suddenly, the 6 AM alarm goes off, causing everyone to become inactive. The police arrive to investigate the Night Guard's death caused by Mangle, leading to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria 2 being permanently shut down. A few years later in 1993, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria 3 opens. Freddy, Bonnie, Chick and Foxy are repaired and given new suits, the same ones Freddy saw in his visions back in the second pizzeria. A new Night Guard is hired as well. Golden Freddy is repaired too and left in the back room. He eventually wakes up and discovers that the puppet, Spring Bonnie and the other animatronics are being kept in the basement. He goes to apologize to the old animatronics and finally explains why he did all of this. A flashback begins, showing Golden Freddy as Fredbear alongside Spring Bonnie in Fredbear's family diner, the very first location. The flashback shows them having a great time performing together and scaring the Night Guard of the place, until the diner closes and Freddy Fazbear's Pizza 1 opens. With it, Freddy, Bonnie, Chick and Foxy are created and take their place on stage. Seeing that they have been replaced, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie swear revenge on the animatronics that took their spot. Before they can act, however, both suits are scheduled to be dismantled by a technician. He removes Spring Bonnie's endoskeleton, but Golden Freddy stops him before further damage is done. Shortly after, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza 1 mysteriously shuts down after someone is fatally injured by one of the suits, leading to the opening of the second pizzeria, technically the third if you count Fredbear's family diner. After hearing Golden Freddy's story, the animatronics feel pity for him and decide to forgive him. Golden Freddy redeems himself by giving the puppet her powers back, allowing her to restore the life of the toy animatronics. This marks a new era in the series where the next few episodes take place in the FNAF 1 pizzeria, aka Freddy Fazbear's Pizza 3. These episodes are mostly slice of life, comedy focused and not very important plot-wise, so I'm not gonna cover most of them. If you do decide to watch them, just expect a lot of 2015 humor like Foxy singing "You Are a Pirate."
Do what you want, cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. You're our pirate.
There are a few videos, however, that I do need to mention for the storyline to make sense. The first one I wanna talk about is called New Night Guard. It's about how the animatronics end up scaring the Night Guard so hard that he falls off his chair, breaks his arm and needs to be replaced. Replaced by who, you ask? Soldier from Team Fortress 2, who isn't f***ing around. While Soldier is minding his own damn business, Foxy and Mangle decide to go scare him, which turns out to be a really bad idea, because Soldier whips out a shotgun and shoots Mangle multiple times. Foxy and Chica bring Mangle's body to a safe place where it's examined by Freddy and the puppet. They start reconstructing her, while Foxy decides to go get some revenge on Soldier. Foxy actually manages to do it, probably because he has insane plot armor, but he's still super depressed that his girlfriend just got killed. About a week later, Freddy and the puppet manage to fully reconstruct Mangle, but after coming back, she doesn't remember anything, not even Foxy. She starts going around the pizzeria, talking to the other animatronics, trying to regain some of her memories. Eventually, Mangle regains her memories after kissing Foxy. As for the Night Guard, Foxy stuffs his corpse into the damaged Spring Bonnie suit, which, if you remember, is exactly one of Freddy's visions. This is really bad news because now Spring Bonnie has a host again, meaning he can regain control of the suit. He just needs a bit of his power back, and once he does, he can finally get his revenge on Golden Freddy and all of the other animatronics for what he did back in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza 2. The next 4 episodes are heavily focused on the relationship between Bonnie and Toy Chica. They officially start dating, which makes Chica sad since she also liked Bonnie but was too afraid to say anything because he was already with Toy Chica. It's also revealed that Freddy likes Chica but she never noticed because she was always obsessed with Bonnie. Bonnie and Toy Chica get into a small fight after Bonnie gets jealous seeing Toy Bonnie hugging Toy Chica. Around the same time, Freddy confesses his feelings to Chica, who doesn't give him an immediate answer and says she needs time to think about it. While all of this drama is going on, Spring Bonnie, now referred to as Springtrap, regains consciousness, but he's still too weak to move. He needs more power. Golden Freddy knows that sooner or later Springtrap will return, and that he needs to stop him once and for all. However, when he is about to kill him with a fire axe, he can't bring himself to do it. After all, Springtrap is his old friend. Out of nowhere, Shadow Freddy appears and gives Springtrap the power he needs to move again. Springtrap overpowers Golden Freddy and ties him up in the basement, preparing to take revenge on all the animatronics in the pizzeria. The first target is Toy Chica, who was crying in the bathroom, still heartbroken over her fight with Bonnie. Springtrap knocks her out and is about to kill her before being stopped by Shadow Freddy, who is clearly controlling him. One by one, Springtrap stalks and takes out each animatronic and is only stopped when Golden Freddy suddenly appears. But wait, wasn't he tied up in the basement? He was, but Shadow Freddy freed him. This makes it kinda unclear which side Shadow Freddy is actually on, since he both gave power to Springtrap and freed Golden Freddy. But one thing is obvious though, he's planning something big. Golden Freddy and Springtrap start fighting, but midway through the fight, Golden Freddy decides he doesn't actually want to fight his old friend. But Springtrap doesn't really give a fuck and cuts Golden Freddy in half. But before fully dying, Golden Freddy transfers his powers into Bonnie's suit. 6 AM arrives, and with it, all the animatronics shut down, as part of the curse of being alive. When Springtrap wakes up, he realizes that Freddy Fazbear's Pizza 3 has been closed, and they have all been transported to a new location, a haunted house called Fazbear's Fright, which takes place in the FNAF 3 location. It's around this time that Bonnie also wakes up and remembers what happened. Using the power Golden Freddy gave him, he wakes up the other animatronics. Everyone seems mostly fine except for Toy Chica, who took the worst damage, with her suit barely holding together. Bonnie suddenly faints and has a dream involving Golden Freddy. In the dream, Golden Freddy explains what Bonnie needs to do to defeat Springtrap and save some of their old friends who were transformed into phantoms by him. To free a phantom, Bonnie needs to touch one of them, which lets him enter their mind. Once inside, he has to navigate their memories until he finds a gift box and give it to them, breaking Springtrap's curse. There is a catch though. Every time Bonnie frees a phantom, he has to pass his power to another animatronic, who will then free the next phantom, so the power keeps getting passed around. Golden Freddy also warns Bonnie that if they don't find a replacement suit for Toy Chica before 6 AM, she will die from her injuries. So, in a race against time, the animatronics split into 2 teams. Toy Bonnie and JJ stay in the night guard's office playing children's voices through the system to lure Springtrap away, while Toy Freddy and Bonnie search for a compatible suit to save Toy Chica. Quick side note, Springtrap doesn't follow the children's voices for the same reason as in the official game, as he is not William Afton. In this series, he does it because Shadow Freddy is controlling him and forcing him to follow those voices. Springtrap doesn't even realize he's being controlled, he just receives commands and carries them out like a zombie. As time runs out, Toy Freddy and Bonnie finally find a compatible suit. It's not exactly the same as Toy Chica's original one, it's a bit chunkier, but honestly, if the characters hadn't mentioned it, I probably wouldn't have noticed. They managed to repair her just moments before 6 AM. However, the very next night, this ungrateful bitch complains that she hates the new suit even though it literally saved her life and it looks almost identical to the old one. Women, am I right? Later, Toy Chica finds Bonnie outside the haunted house. Yes, apparently they could have gone outside this whole time, and Bonnie tells her about the powers Golden Freddy gave him before dying. Together, they decide the first phantom they should save is the puppet, since she is likely the most powerful and could help them defeat Springtrap. Meanwhile, Springtrap is trying to figure out how to catch the animatronics when he suddenly sees Toy Chica and Golden Freddy, both wearing different outfits. Toy Chica has a sword and a cape, which makes no sense because we just saw her with Bonnie moments ago. So this makes the second time someone spots two Toy Chicas at once, the first being Freddy back in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza 2. This mysterious Toy Chica pulls out a device that erases Springtrap's memory, making him forget what he just saw. She then opens a portal and disappears, leaving us with the question of who the hell she actually is. After that, Springtrap comes up with a plan. He orders Phantom Balloon Boy to distract Toy Bonnie, who's been playing the children's voices around the building. This allows Springtrap and the other Phantoms to reach the rest of the animatronics. The plan works, but it also creates the perfect opportunity for Bonnie to help Phantom Puppet. As he's about to touch her, Phantom Chica gets in the way instead, pulling Bonnie into her memories. Inside her mind, Bonnie realizes that Chica actually liked them. He just was never able to notice. He eventually finds the gift box Golden Freddy mentioned and gives it to Phantom Chica, freeing her from Springtrap's control. Bonnie snaps back to reality, and with Phantom Chica now on their side, Springtrap and the remaining Phantoms retreat. Golden Freddy's power leaves Bonnie and transfers to Toy Bonnie since a phantom has been freed. A text appears on the screen saying that a month has passed and that all phantoms have been rescued except for Freddy. It's also now Toy Chica's turn to free a phantom. Springtrap comes up with yet another plan, this time involving Toy Chica's original suit, the one she's been looking for ever since she was forced to switch suits to survive. He places it in a box to lure the animatronics to the other side of the haunted house. They spot the box on the cameras, and even though Toy Bonnie points out that it's obviously a trap, Toy Chica and Toy Freddy still sneak out when no one's looking to go get it. On the way, they encounter Phantom Freddy, and Toy Chica immediately enters his mind to free him. Freddy's mind, however, is almost completely empty. Toy Chica wanders through it for a while, even briefly transforming into a broken version of that mysterious caped Toy Chica we saw earlier. Again, still no explanation. Eventually, Shadow Freddy appears and introduces himself. He warns Toy Chica that something dangerous is coming, something he calls the Nightmare. He explains that this nightmare is the reason why Toy Chica and the other animatronics are the only robots in the world capable of feeling emotions like love and sadness. The story begins in 1983 at Fredbear's Family Diner, the first ever location. The place was successful thanks to a technician who spent countless hours maintaining and improving the animatronics to bring happiness to children. One night, however, the night guard sabotaged the animatronics, permanently damaging them. The next day, the company fired the technician and blamed him for the sabotage. Completely broken by this news, the technician packed his things to leave, until he noticed the night guard's lighter next to the damaged animatronics. Consumed by hate and a desire for revenge, the technician became violent to his family, eventually being kicked out by his wife. With nothing left to lose, he decided to go kill the man who ruined his life, aka the night guard. One night, he snuck into the pizzeria and reprogrammed Fredbear to attack the night guard. But something went wrong, and Fredbear attacked the technician instead, killing him. By the time the night guard noticed, it was already too late. To avoid destroying the company's reputation, the owners hid the body and pretended nothing ever happened. The technician's hatred, however, kept his soul alive. As a spirit, he found an artifact shaped like a ball that gave him immense power, but he still needed a physical body. When attempting to create one with the powers of the ball, a mistake was made and his soul was split into 4 parts. 3 parts entered Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, and the puppet, giving them life and powers. The power to give life, the power to teleport, and immense strength and control. The 4th fragment wandered for years until Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Wand opened. When Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy were created, the puppet divided their soul into smaller pieces to give them life. And the final 4th fragment entered Freddy's head, where it became trapped, too weak to control him. Later, when the puppet gave life to the toy animatronics, they also received fragments of this soul. Shadow Freddy explains that this fragmented soul is now the creature known as the Nightmare, and it wants to reunite all its pieces and escape Freddy's head. He warns Toy Chica that there is a traitor among them, helping the Nightmare return, and that she needs to figure out who it is before it's too late. He then gives Toy Chica the gift needed to free Phantom Freddy. Toy Chica snaps back to reality and with Toy Freddy's help finally finds her original suit. But as expected, it was a trap. Springtrap ambushes Toy Freddy, knocks him out, and tries to capture Toy Chica as well. She barely escapes with the help of Toy Bonnie and Bonnie, who were watching the cameras, closing the door on Springtrap. Springtrap now has the upper hand though, because he's holding Toy Freddy hostage. They start planning a rescue. The plan is simple. One of them will distract Springtrap while the others reunite the Phantoms and resurrect Golden Freddy to help them fight. Despite the fact that the last 2 times he showed up, he refused to help and just fucking died. Toy Chica volunteers to be the bait, feeling guilty for getting Toy Freddy involved. Bonnie initially refuses but ultimately respects her choice. Toy Chica confronts Springtrap, stabs him, and escapes with Toy Freddy, while the others successfully resurrect Golden Freddy. However, Bonnie notices something strange. When Golden Freddy returns, he asks how they knew how to bring him back, even though he supposedly appeared in Bonnie's dream and told him exactly what to do. Golden Freddy then reveals that it wasn't him in Bonnie's dream. He says he was asleep inside Bonnie's mind the entire time. So if that wasn't Golden Freddy, then who the hell was pretending to be him? Springtrap wakes up after being stabbed, realizes his plan has completely fallen apart, and decides to go full insane mode by blowing up the entire building after breaking the valve controlling the gas system. Golden Freddy gets all the animatronics and phantoms to safety outside as the location starts collapsing and catching fire. He then goes back inside to confront his brother Springtrap, to finally put an end to his madness. The fight is very intense, with both of them landing solid blows on each other, until a massive explosion goes off nearby, knocking them both temporarily unconscious. Springtrap wakes up first. Next to him, he finds a mysterious device implanted in his head, the device Shadow Freddy used to control him. Now, free from Shadow Freddy's control, Springtrap immediately wants to save his brother from the explosion. However, as the building's voice system begins the final countdown before total destruction, Springtrap realizes there's nothing he can do.
This is the end. Our story ends here.
Explosion in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Meanwhile, after Golden Freddy teleports everyone out, the other animatronics head toward Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Tree, looking for shelter. When they arrive, they find the place already on fire, likely caused by the traitor Shadow Freddy warned Toy Chica about. With nowhere else to go, they are forced to keep moving, but 6 AM arrives, and the curse causes them to shut down. As they power off, a car pulls up nearby. The next night, they wake up inside the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, the original location where Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy were created. Their owner had found them inactive on the street and decided to move them there since he planned to reopen the old pizzeria. They mourn Golden Freddy's death, believing it was thanks to his sacrifice that they survived. But surprise surprise, Golden Freddy is actually alive, and so is Springtrap. They explained that they escaped when Springtrap used Golden Freddy's power while he was unconscious, teleporting both of them outside moments before the building exploded. Golden Freddy announces that Springtrap is now on their side, and together the brothers sacrifice their remaining powers to help the Phantoms regain physical bodies of their own. Bonnie also has a surprise for Chica. He managed to save her original suit before the explosion. They give her time to change in the parts and services room, but when she comes out she's still wearing her old suit. She explains that it now carries too many emotional memories for her to simply discard it. This is basically the animation's way of saying she grew up emotionally or something. Oh, did I also mention that Freddy and Chica are dating now? No? Well, it doesn't really matter. For a brief moment, the animatronics finally get some peace after everything they have been through, but of course it doesn't last. A familiar ball-shaped object is revealed to be plotting something sinister. With the help of its endoskeleton minion, the ball containing a part of the Nightmare soul continues the plan of the human technician who died years ago. The goal is to reunite all the fragments of his soul, build a physical body, and finally take revenge. To do that, he needs all the animatronics in one place, the same place where he was killed, where everything began. With everyone finally gathered, Shadow Freddy reveals himself as the Nightmare, which honestly shouldn't surprise anyone at this point. Using the ball, he extracts the soul fragments from each animatronic, and now with his soul restored, he manifests physically in the form of a Nightmare suit. Then comes the big reveal. The traitor who helped him all along was Mangle. She then reveals all the cautious steps she took through all those years to help Shadow Freddy achieve his plan. She caused the closure of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza 2 by killing the night guard, ensuring the location would shut down and force the animatronics to be moved. When that failed and they ended up at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza 3 instead, she tried again. She intentionally got herself damaged by the new night guard so Foxy would kill him and place his body inside the Spring Bonnie suit, giving Springtrap a host. With Shadow Freddy's help, Mangle created a mind control device and placed it on Springtrap's head. Shadow Freddy then controlled Springtrap to cause chaos and force the pizzeria to shut down. However, that still didn't send them back to the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. At Fazbear's Fright, Mangle used the ball to create Bonnie's hallucination, making him believe Shadow Freddy was Golden Freddy, and manipulated Springtrap into blowing up the building. When the animatronics tried to take shelter at the previous pizzeria, Mangle used the ball's power to teleport there first and burn it down, forcing them at last to be placed in the original pizzeria, exactly where the technician died, exactly where the Nightmare could finally reclaim every piece of his soul. But the question is why? Why did Mangle betray them? She was never in a fight with any other animatronic, and she was even in a relationship with Foxy since the very beginning. Well, according to her, it all goes back to how she was treated by humans in the past, specifically at the second pizzeria, where children destroyed her suit almost completely. After that, she began to deeply despise humans. Not long after, she found a ball that contained part of the technician's power, manifested in the form of Shadow Freddy. Shadow Freddy told her his story and explained how he wanted to take revenge on the entire human race, something Mangle strongly sympathized with. With that, the Nightmare begins summoning his Nightmare animatronic minions. Some of the animatronics managed to escape through a teleporter Golden Freddy created long ago, back when he was evil and planning to fight a puppet. However, not all of them make it in time and several are captured. As Bonnie is escaping through the teleporter, the Nightmare throws a sword that pierces him on the way out, killing him not long after. Right before his death, we once again see the mysterious toy Chica wearing a cape. The scene then cuts to the animatronics who were captured. Nightmare Foxy drags Chica forward and forces her to watch as the Nightmare orders Mangle to kill Foxy. After she does it, the Nightmare rewards her by turning her black? What the fuck? Meanwhile, Golden Freddy comes up with a last resort plan to fix things back to normal. According to him, the teleporter machine can also travel through time since it still contains a small portion of his original power. The idea is to send someone into the past and change events so the present turns out differently, because, just in case it wasn't obvious, the current timeline is absolutely fucked. As Golden Freddy finishes preparing the time machine, the toy chica wearing a cape suddenly appears through a portal. She reveals herself to be Toy Chica from the future, a future where everyone else has died except her. She asks a few questions about Golden Freddy's time machine, then leaves just as suddenly, erasing the memories of both Golden Freddy and the puppet. Meanwhile, the captured animatronics get tired of sitting around doing nothing. Toy Bonnie, one of the captives, comes up with a risky plan. Sneak past the nightmare animatronics, reach the teleporter and reprogram it to send all the captured animatronics to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza 2, where the others had escaped. The plan partially works. Toy Bonnie manages to open the portal, but he gets caught by the nightmare and is killed. With the portal now open, the nightmare and his minions go through it, heading to wipe out the remaining animatronics. Springtrap realizes what's happening and rushes to warn the others that the nightmare is coming. With almost no time left, Golden Freddy gives Toy Chica two devices, one that lets her choose when and where to travel through time, and another that erases memories. It tells her to go back in time and find a way to kill Shadow Freddy and save everyone. Instead of following the plan immediately, Toy Chica gets emotional and tries to fight the nightmare herself in a desperate attempt to save her friends. It obviously doesn't work. She gets absolutely wrecked, leaving her costume heavily damaged.
I'm not afraid of you.
With no other choice left, she finally follows the plan and escapes through the teleporter, now tasked with finding a way to stop Shadow Freddy and save all of her friends. And we finally come to the conclusion that all this time, the mysterious Toy Chica wearing a cape was Toy Chica all along, but from the future. A future where the nightmare ends up killing all of her friends, and now she travels through time and different places to find a way to change this disastrous outcome. And now, I think this is the perfect time to stop talking about this series and move on to another one. If I kept going, this video would completely lose its point, since the episodes that come after this aren't even that old. The whole idea here is to revisit forgotten, nostalgic FNAF SFM series, not stuff that still feels kinda recent, and I didn't even watch as a kid. So even though I did watch the entire thing like a psychopath, if you want to keep going with the Zexu 37 story, you should start watching from the episode The Time Machine. That's where I left off. Still, before moving on, I just want to say how much effort was put into these animations. You can clearly see that over the years, Zexu got better and better at animating, especially when you compare his work to other FNAF SFM videos that came out at the same time. But what really blows my mind is the planning and foreshadowing in older episodes. The way he sets up events that only happen in episodes that came out 4 to 5 years later. It's like watching a puzzle slowly come together over a decade, and realizing that every little detail, every line, even a random clip in those early episodes actually had a meaning. That kind of attention to continuity and storytelling is something you just don't see in most FNAF animations. I also want to apologize if I got anything wrong in my explanation, because as I said, I watched the entire series in one night until morning and wrote the script right after, so it's possible I made a small mistake somewhere in my explanation. Anyways, moving on. The last series we'll be taking a look at is a certified hood classic. If you are a real one, you definitely watched this one back in the day. And of course, I'm talking about Bonnie and Chica the Parents, made by Lunatic. The series starts off with a very recognizable early 2010s song. And we are introduced to the main characters of our story, which, as the title obviously suggests, are Bonnie and Chica. They are taking care of their two children, who are literally just smaller versions of themselves. After putting them to bed, Bonnie and Chica go have some alone time in the kitchen when suddenly small Bonnie just fucking dies out of nowhere. Like, I'm not joking, he falls face first onto a table and just stops moving. I mean, yeah, babies can die out of nowhere in real life, but the animation is so stiff that I generally can't tell if that's what the creator was going for here. Bonnie hears small Chica crying, which leads him to discover that his son has literally died. Bonnie and Chica get super sad and depressed, just like I was the first time I saw this when I was 12, but later it is revealed that it was actually the puppet who killed small Bonnie by poisoning him, which honestly makes way more sense than him just falling over and dying. Bonnie discovers the truth, and we get a very epic fight scene where Bonnie completely beats the shit out of the puppet. However, he realizes that sliming the puppet won't bring back his dead son. Or maybe it will, I guess, because it turns out small Bonnie was actually alive and just in a coma. Bonnie and Freddy then put the puppet in a trash bag and keep her in a bathroom. In the next episode, Bonnie, Chica and Freddy are listening to some music when all of a sudden Foxy picks up small Bonnie, stabs him and throws him at the wall for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Bonnie discovers his son's corpse for the second time, figures out it was Foxy because he has one of small Bonnie's ears on his hook and slimes Foxy. He then uses a time machine made by Toy Bonnie, which for some reason exists in FNAF 1 Pizzeria, and goes back in time to stop Foxy from killing his son. In the next episode, Chica sneaks out of the pizzeria with their kids while Bonnie is asleep. Bonnie wakes up, realizes Chica ran off, and goes after her. While searching for his wife outside, he runs into Withered Bonnie and Withered Freddy, who are homeless in these animations. They get all gangsta and mad at Bonnie for stepping into their territory and start chasing him. Meanwhile, Chica almost gets run over by a car, and it's revealed that she ran off because she thought the outside world was safer than the pizzeria for their children, which makes zero fucking sense. She almost gets run over immediately after leaving the pizzeria, and also why didn't she tell anything to Bonnie? It's not like it was the reason small Bonnie kept getting killed every 5 minutes. Anyway, she sees her husband Bonnie getting jumped by the Withereds, but luckily she finds a Glock on the ground, so I guess this confirms that FNAF 1 takes place in O'Block, Chicago. And Chica then commits straight up manslaughter to save her husband. They go back to the pizzeria and immediately decide that they want another baby. Like, they can barely keep their 2 existing children alive, but sure, let's add a third one to the mix. So they go to the parts and services room and start f***ing. While they are in the process of making their third child, Springtrap suddenly shows up at the pizzeria and summons a giant evil eyeball with teeth that starts eating Freddy. This makes Bonnie and Chica stop having sex to save him. Bonnie tries his best to fight the eye but gets absolutely humbled. Foxy, however, becomes the hero of the day by defeating the eye and Springtrap, saving everyone. 10 months go by and the egg that Chica laid after f***ing Bonnie finally hatches, and oh my god, what the hell is that? Just put that thing down for God's sake. They throw a party to celebrate the birth of this absolute abomination, but they end up partying a little too hard, and everyone passes out. Seeing this as the perfect opportunity, the puppet, who has been in a trash bag since like episode 3, escapes and proceeds to free Springtrap. Now, can you guess what they do while everyone else is asleep? If you said kidnap and kill the children, you'd be absolutely correct. Springtrap and the puppet take them to the FNAF 3 office, where Springtrap uses a plasma gun that turns the kids black and evil. They then go back to the pizzeria and with the help of Homeless Freddy and Homeless Bonnie manage to overpower all the animatronics for like 2 minutes, before getting defeated off screen. Yeah, we don't even see the fight. At the end of one episode, Springtrap is winning, at the start of the next one, he's in a cage. Bro had a plasma gun that turns animatronics black and evil, and somehow still lost. Anyway, after this, the series takes a hard left turn into complete nonsense and leads to one of the worst endings I have ever seen. Basically, Bonnie and Foxy realize there's been a camera watching them the whole time, which is literally our perspective, so they start breaking the fourth wall. Then Balloon Boy destroys the camera, which was apparently the barrier between their fictional world and our real world. This transforms all the FNAF 1 animatronics into their FNAF 4 versions, which are evil. To fix this, Golden Freddy calls the Barrier Keeper, who shows up, turns everyone back to normal, and then immediately kills everyone except Freddy. The pizzeria catches on fire, leading to a very not epic final fight between Freddy and the Barrier Keeper, which Freddy somehow wins. And that's how this mess of a plot ends. A series that was originally about Bonnie and Chica being parents somehow ends with everyone dying. Out of all the animations I rewatched to make this video, I do probably say this is the one that aged the worst. The animation is super janky and doesn't really get that much better as the series progresses, the storyline feels rushed and often doesn't even make sense, and the series always tries to be serious, never really cracking a joke anywhere. And as I have said before, I don't think keeping such a serious tone works very well for a FNAF SFM animation, unless you are like Zach Zhu or something. And yeah, this is the end of the video, and I don't really know what else to say. It was nice revisiting some of my memories from back when I was a cringe FNAF fan and realizing why I like this series so much in the first place, even if a lot of them don't really hold up today. Still, they were a big part of my childhood, and rewatching them felt good, you know? So I hope you enjoyed, and that's it. I love you, bye.